as our colleague over there has said, disabled people are dying. Non-disabled people, their only disability being that they can't get a job and they're dependent on the state for the moment, are dying. People are killing themselves. Children are growing up in the most appalling ill health, where they are incapable of learning at school because their brains are not being fed good quality food. Now, I honestly did not think that at the age of 70 I'd still have to be out in the streets campaigning. But so be it. I will not live in a country where children go to school hungry, children go to bed hungry, and their parents live in constant worry and anxiety about how to put food in their stomach. I'm doing advocacy work for a young woman right now who was put into a homeless person's scatter flat where there was no heating, had been no heating for the previous 5 months, and she was expected to take a 6-year-old and a 10-day-old baby into that. And that was bloody good enough for her because she was only an unemployed single mother. Well, I'm not living with that. And anybody around here should not be prepared to live with that. And you ladies over there shouldn't be prepared to live with that. You are human beings. You might very well have children. Would that be good enough for your kids? Well, it isn't good enough for the unemployed kids. So we keep this fight going. Whatever is done to Tony, we'll support him all the way, and we'll support the benefits claimants wherever we are needed. And I am coming out of retirement to do just that. And if they feel threatened by a 70-year-old lady in a wheelchair, bloody good!
The thing is about this work, I mean, it shouldn't be just based on individuals. You know, what we need is we need a whole number of people who can actually step in. And that is actually happening. More and more people are actually coming forward to act as advocates. And I think it's going to be necessary because I think the attack in Arbroath on me is actually spreading out to Dundee as well. So there's a fundamental attack on liberty here, and there's a whole issue here with the right of the police. Under what circumstances do the police have the authority and the right to actually ask you for your name and address? Because in the circumstances I was arrested, there was absolutely obvious that no crime was being committed. I was actually outside the job centre at the time. And at the point I was actually arrested, I was going to say to the police, why don't you go into the job centre and actually talk to the manageress? But before I could get that out, they were trying to get the handcuffs on me. Now, this does have implications for the work. But what I believe is that the work is actually going from strength to strength. And if we can use this case, as I say, to actually open up the issues and shine a light on the practices that are actually happening within the job centres, then all well and good. And also, we should use the arrest and also the day of action that's actually been called by Boycott Workfare down in London to actually develop the outlines and the beginnings of a national network that can actually act in concert. Because it's absolutely obvious that the way that we defeat these attempts to try and prevent us from representing vulnerable benefit claimants is by acting together. We are an advocate-based organisation, but we are about self-organisation. That's a fundamental ethos. I mean, if I didn't make myself dispensable in the next 2 or 3 months, then I'm not doing my job correctly. If the Scottish Unemployed Workers Network couldn't function without me, then we would be a failed organisation. But that is not the case. We're getting many people coming around us, and that gladdens my heart. I've been involved in politics for 30 odd years. This is the first time I've actually been arrested. I had the police round at my door last night, and they were saying, we're just here to make sure everybody's safe tomorrow. You're the main organiser. I said, well, no, actually. I'm actually a defendant. I think the thing's been organised on my behalf. He says, we're just here to, make sure that, you're all safe, and this is actually going to become a regular procedure. Anytime there's going to be a protest on, then the organisers can expect a visit from the police. Well, I'm sorry, we didn't need the help of the police to organise protests, and it's no role of the police to interfere in the right of citizens to legitimate protest.
They're a collective, so that's going to make them awfully busy.
Exactly.
Everybody.
So, for the purposes of the liaison officer who are there, next time we've got a protest, they'll be turning up at my door. I'm not the organiser. There are other people who are actually involved in organisation. And we will be be organising a protest next week, the Maximus protest. What we're going to go for is a short, peaceful, but noisy protest outside Boots in Dundee to mark the handover from ATOS to Maximus. ATOS have ruled with a rod of iron in the time that they've actually been responsible for work capability assessments. Some of the cases I've come across would curl your hair. I mean, they're absolutely disgraceful. And I think what we've got to do is two roles. One is to represent benefit claimants and to develop our means and methods of organisation. But the second thing that we've got to do is a very real job of consciousness raising. Because there is this mainstream media obsession with poverty porn, and we've got to cut right across that. And the evidence is that in the Dundee area, where we've been most active up until fairly recently, we're starting to spread out now, and maybe that's the reason why we're coming under attack, because we have been successful. But, you know, the main thing is that we've got to develop our means and methods of organisation, and we've got to get the message out there. And the evidence is that we are getting the message out there. People will remember the case that we actually ran before Christmas, of the pregnant woman who was actually sanctioned. I mean, we got 40,000 hits on our Facebook page on that. It was covered by the national press and the local press. So there is an appetite there. We should not believe that most people have actually fallen hook, line and sinker for the poverty porn line that, benefit claimants are shirkers, because they haven't. A lot of people are absolutely and utterly aware, even those people that are working, are absolutely and utterly aware the need for an organisation like ours is going to increase enormously, particularly in Arbroath in the next couple of months. Because the situation is that Halliburton's, one of the major engineering employers there, they're looking towards redundancies, and those redundancies are going to be in the hundreds. And what you're going to get is you're going to get working guys, it's going to be, the vast majority are going to be men, who have been working all their lives, haven't been near the brew, and a proportion of those guys that are made redundant are actually going to be turning up at Arbroath Brew. And I'll tell you this now, they're going to have a hell of a shock when they turn up at Arbroath Brew.